Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Triple N Media. I am Dr. Nik Nikam, and today we have a very special guest, Sreedhar Kanchankuntla. He has been a businessman, and he is going to talk to us about his 10-year journey in an uncharted field. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Biryani Pot, which is located on Westheimer. My special guest is Sreedhar Kanchankuntla. Sreedhar, welcome to Triple N Media. We are delighted to have you. After 4 years of COVID and all this gap, we are beginning our interviews, which we have done for the past 10 years. And let's begin with your little background as, where you come from and what got you interested in the Indian restaurant and its stories.
Sure. Thank you, Nick. Thanks for inviting me to your studio. And I came from a town called Warangal, which is in Telangana, and most of my schooling is done in Warangal. And my parents, we came from a agriculture and a business mixed background. And I did my master's in Canada. Before that, I did my MBA in Chennai. Mm-hmm. And I'm working for a few years as a software engineer. So I thought, why don't I don't want to do a 9-to-5 job, typical 9-to-5 jobs.
Yeah.
So my passion was in cooking. So I thought,
so
let's give it a try.
24 hours a day job.
24 hours a day job. But still, I know it's a big commitment, but still I love the job.
So it's kind of fascinating, going from software engineering to gastronomic science is a big jump. And so what got you interested, and did you have some background about the restaurant business as such?
Yes, I don't have any typical restaurant business background, but I was very passionate in food. So I love cooking. So I try to experiment new things, explore new restaurants. So when I was in back home also, I used to try the new places, whichever, for new food places. So that's what drove me into this field. And I thought, probably I should be the one who take an initiative from at my generation. So I thought in my background with my friends and family, so I was the first one to open a restaurant.
That's interesting because, I've been in Houston for 40 years, and most of the time when I say Indian restaurants, they are sort of like a broad restaurant that covers the whole Indian subcontinent. And yours was kind of a special one that is more a niche into your particular area. Maybe you can talk about that.
Sure. So when I first visited in 2010 Houston, so I thought, I tried a couple of restaurants. When I was in Dallas, people were telling me Houston has really good food, good Indian food. So I thought, let's try. I tried a few places, but I was not really convinced. I thought, this should be a place I should be in and start a new restaurant. Mm-hmm. And at that time when I started, there was not much competition too.
See, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Because you started this South Indian Hyderabadi style, which is quite unique to your Andhra or Telangana state. And of course, there are a lot of IT people who had moved in to Houston and Texas at this time. So maybe that was a good beginning at that time.
Yes, it was a good beginning. Actually, people were really looking for a good biryani restaurants.
Yeah.
So when we started and people liked it, and from there we never turned back.
Okay, talking about, good beginning, let's roll back 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And when you had just moved into Houston, and so you had just moved into Houston.
Yes.
And what kind of challenges did you face when you wanted to get this restaurant up and going?
Yeah, it was challenging actually. Why? Because it was a new town for me, and it was I alone. I was building a restaurant. I was involved in the construction things. And it was very tedious process and obtaining the permits, especially the city permits. It took a while. It took almost 8 months to construct the restaurant with the permits and everything. And once we started the restaurant, we had a very good response from the customers for the food, for the service, everything you can say. But a few challenges, like finding a good vendors and finding a skilled staff and supply chain issues. and convincing few customers, because in the beginning we have some mess-ups and things, and convincing new customers. And these were some challenges we went through, but over the time we got used to them, and we refined them, and we got and looking back, it's a successful journey.
So whenever we start a new business, we don't know, because 92% or 5% of them
Exactly.
just don't make it past the first year. And when you started a new business, how long did it take to get a grip as to, okay, people are liking our food, they're coming back for the second or the third time, and you felt a little more ease?
Saying like it was the first day, I still remember, it was October 19, 2012. When we opened the restaurant, we were expecting like few tables.
Yeah.
Few tables, like 5-6 tables. But it was when we opened the lunch sign, we pulled on the lunch on sign. When we opened it, open sign, so what happened is, in next 10 to 15 minutes, all the tables were full. And the evening was like so messy. Why? Because there was a huge line, and we did not plan for it. And we were running out of the supplies, we were running out of a lot of stuff, and we don't have enough waiting staff. We were running around, but customers, our loyal customers, good customers, they understood our situation, and they were being very patient. And over the time, we took care of everything, and we expanded from there.
So what particular challenge did you face that was most significant in the initial few days or months?
Finding a skilled staff was the most challenging one, because this is not something, it's a process, right? Indian food is like typically you need a good skill, because it needs a lot of preparation work and a lot of prep work, and they have to be really skillful, and they have to be good chefs. So it was little thing, but over the time I trained few people, and they are now experts.
So initially, did you cook yourself in the kitchen?
Yes, I did.
Oh,
I did.
That's good.
I don't want to compromise on the food.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about, and several years down the line now that the biryani pot on Westheimer has become successful, and you're doing good, and you wanted to branch out outside. Could you tell us something about that?
Sure. Right now we are with 22 locations all over, 4 in Texas, 4 in New Jersey, and Atlanta, Phoenix, 2 locations Phoenix, 2 locations California, and a few other locations in Ohio. So now we are around like 22 locations, and we train them, and we really supply all the specialty spices, and it's a successful thing. The franchise-wise, we are successful.
Yeah, obviously I come from South Karnataka, and I'm not too far from Telangana, or old Andhra it used to be called. And obviously the Andhra's food is very spicy. Is this more attractive to people of like Indian origin, or what is the breakdown of your customer base?
It's mostly Andhra, and we have the mainstream people also who are loyal customers, and we...
See, now people are beginning to like spicy food. The more spicy, the better it is. I'm really surprised.
In beginning, we used to hear a lot of these, like, the food is spicy, but now, once in a while.
That's why I said, like the Chinese, Americans, Hispanics, they all like spicy food now, and somehow, I guess, they got used.
And people got educated towards the Indian food. Why? Because there's a lot of spices, herbs which are good for health. Every spice has a reasonable kind of effect in the body.
That's right. Yeah.
So that's what it's. People are like more educated, and they want to taste Indian food, and it's it's a delicious.
Oh, there's no question about that. And let's talk about. Like as we are seeing on the television here, we must have like hundreds of items. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking and your mouth is watering, maybe you should rush to Biryani Pot on Westheimer and what was that, Voss Road. Anyway, so looking at this, you got so many different items. If you were to pick 2 or 3 items, it's like picking a kid. Which kid is the most favorite one? I don't know. So which 3 kids or the menus you would say would be your favorite?
Yeah. It's a tricky question because I don't have enough choice.
Yeah.
Because, most everything we do with love, and the passion, and we do justice for the dish. this to the dish. So that's why. But of course, the most favorite of many people, and it's the famous is biryanis. Different kind of biryanis we do, and apart from chicken 65, green shrimp, cilantro shrimps, and they are like Indo-Chinese, and even the kebabs. But
one of my favorites is the lamb chops.
Lamb chops. Chops are good, and my favorite is peppercorn.
I see, yeah.
It's a masala peppercorn. It's a unique dish we introduced in Houston. First time we introduced it 10 years ago, and it's very successful. And every day you see on any table you find that.
I see, yeah. Okay, let's talk about, Houston is famous for all kinds of disasters. We've gone through, in 40 years, I've gone through, 8 or 10 major hurricanes disrupting the entire city or the state. And of course, in 2020, we had this pandemic when things came to a standstill. I posted a picture of New York 5th Avenue, which was like no people on the street, which is like the first time in American history. And that was like that in most other places, including Houston. Yeah, let's start off with, during the hurricane, you did a lot of community service, and also during the pandemic. And tell us, how did you manage all these things during hurricane? Of course, we were more mobile during hurricane, but during a pandemic, it was a totally different issue because people couldn't move or even come to work.
Exactly. Especially in Hurricane Harvey, was it a devastating situation for many people, because we are on Westheimer, and I've seen many people around the Westheimer. There are a lot of Indian people living in apartments, and most of them are out of power, gas, and they are unable to. It's very hard to access them roads. So what happened, like even in the city, in the Sugarland, we have seen many houses flooding in Katy, Sugarland.
Of course, I'm a media, and I drove with all your colleagues and friends in Riverstone and also in Cinco Ranch, where street after street, all these sheetrocks and debris, it looked like a ghost town.
It's a pile of.
Yeah, the whole rubble.
Exactly. So what we did at that time, and especially in the hurricane time, we were getting many phone calls for the takeout orders.
Yeah.
But we decided, why should I do that? Why should I sell the food?
Yeah.
I thought, it's a bad thing, because so many people, so many customers, we are in this situation because of the customers, loyal customers. So I thought, it's a time to just give them back something. So we closed the restaurant for 1 week for the regular operations.
Yeah.
And we start cooking food. And it's like, it's a day and night we did sometimes. First 3 days it was day and night.
Yeah.
And because we have to cook for every day like 4,000 to 5,000 people, again do all the prep work in the night, again do it in the next morning, again cook and supply. So we did like 25,000 meals which we supplied.
That's fascinating. That's that's what makes it so unique. A lot of us become educated, we become very skilled in our profession, we become successful, but that doesn't really tell much about us until we go and serve other people who are in need.
And we felt happy. It was like it was a good feeling when serving people, and we got blessings from thousands of people.
Okay, before we go further, I see this statue of Buddha in your restaurant. So what's the significance of that?
Whenever you see Buddha, right, it gives a lot of like a calm and a peaceful kind of attitude we get when we look into Buddha, and it's so we want customer to feel the positive energy vibrations coming from Buddha.
Yeah.
So when I went, I found a statue in New York. So I thought I would definitely get it. So I went, I shipped it from there. It was good. Whenever I see in my home personally, I have a lot of Buddha's statues.
So let's talk about COVID-19, which is a totally different and unique, which swept through the entire world, not just Houston. And as I said, all the cities were locked down. And how did you manage to stay in business, survive, and even help other people in need?
Yeah. Especially there are not many people who are needing food at the COVID time. Especially few people, we delivered them few food, not too many.
Yeah.
But initially, when was it in early March 2020?
That's it. Yeah.
It was a panicking situation. So we were thinking, how could we survive with this situation? Probably, I don't know, we would end up closing the restaurant. That's what we thought. But we closed for 2 weeks. And after that, we survived to, we managed to open with a few staff members on a rotation basis, and we took all the precautions what we could take for which is safety for the customers. But it was very surprising. Too many takeout orders, too many to-go orders. We thought, okay, but there was no catering for almost 1.5 years.
That's right, yes.
Not a single catering, if I remember.
Yeah.
But all new customers, new customer base.
Yeah.
Still, we managed and we survived in the COVID season. Thanks for the loyal customers.
Yeah. In Harvey, we had a different kind of a challenge, and here, you can't even get people to come and work because of the COVID restrictions. and then everything had to be just take out and no contact, nothing.
No contact, yes.
Okay, let's talk about in 10 years you have been very successful, and the most important thing I really highlight is your contribution to the community, not only in terms of serving food, but also in terms of philanthropic services. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So it's our responsibility, right? When we make some money, it's our duty to give it back to the community. Even it might be a cultural, social, or anything. So we encourage a lot of students, especially back home. Especially back home, we give it to the orphanage schools, and we sponsor some kids for the education. And those are the things we did.
That's pretty good. So now let us move forward 10 years. Let's look into the crystal ball and see what do you vision in terms of your restaurant, yourself, and what new innovations and things that might be coming down the pike.
We have few things in mind actually. We are trying to open in new stores across a few new cities, and especially we want to do a separate chain like family dhaba where people can sit in the open environment and in the little huts, and it's a typically dhaba kind of food. And apart from that, we want in future maybe we will be looking definitely into a Indian fast food where we have a drive-through. But it's not easy because Indian food has a lot of preparation work. That is the reason you don't see any drive-through Indian stores.
We are talking about our generation. Let's talk about our children. Our children are, they belong to the next generation. They don't belong to us. They are always looking at everything like natural, everything organic, everything totally different from what we eat, and that poses a challenge because we eat whatever we like, and we say the stomach is going to take care of whatever bacteria or virus is there. But all these kids are so particular about vegan food, all these different kinds of labels they have. So is that going to pose a challenge with the new generation, our own kids and their
yes,
families?
I agree with that, right? Because out of every 10 kids we see they have a few people are vegan, some have dairy allergies and a lot of kind of stuff, right? And some people are eat only gluten-free, which is recommended by doctors. So especially those will be a challenging one, but if I would definitely recommend younger generations, they can try this kind of food. They can open their, the young entrepreneurs, I want them to get into this food, like a low carb diet and vegan, gluten-free and those kind organic foods. And they should try in the different way because we already stuck with the typical kind of Indian, right?
Okay.
So, but still, we try to accommodate few things when the customers come and they have a special need. So we definitely accommodate their necessity.
Well, that's a good point because we have a successful business model, and your children may say, "Well, this is old-fashioned. This is what we used to do in India." We are not in India. We are here in America, and we are used to all these fancy foods. So they have to transform these Indian recipes into those kind of items they like.
It's kind of fusion. Fusionize them into your American way, the Indian food is the American way. But I have noticed the young kids, right here. They started eating Indian food a lot now these days.
Surprisingly, that's my kids. They always wanted to go to American restaurants and all these things. When they went to college and when they were coming back home, are you going to make some chicken curry?
They are eager to eat Indian food.
Now they are grown up and they have their own children. the main thing they say is, oh, I'm coming for the weekend, I need to have this particular item, chicken curry or lamb curry, and this is how it has to be. So, in fact, tomorrow I'm going over to train my grandkids to do methi chicken.
That's nice. Yeah, interesting.
Because I get them involved. They are like 12 and 13. It's not like that I'm just going to cook and take it, but I'm going to take all items, and that's what I want to show them. When they like spicy food, and initially they didn't like it, but when they started working with us, and then they started liking the food because they saw the process.
Exactly. And it's too many flavors in the mouth, Indian food.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about, when we are growing and expanding, the typical American approach is, okay, we want to go national, or we want to go into every supermarket freezer, something like that. And have you thought about some of these different concepts?
Yes, exactly. And actually, we started a distribution for typical Iranian samosas and few other Indian typical snacks. And future, definitely, we might, put on the shelves biryani spices and some typical spices which is easy to make, prep at home. And but typically, the processed food, we might in future, because that is the way to go.
Yeah, you see, if you have like a frozen ready-made packet of vegetable biryani or a chicken biryani or goat biryani, people will just take it and love it, because this authentic taste will be still there, even if it's frozen, which you can get. Because I spent 1 month in Jordantown, San Antonio, outskirts. There was not a single Indian restaurant. I had to drive 100 miles to go to San Antonio just to get some rice and curry. So this is how difficult the life is in smaller towns, but there are a lot of Indians living in these areas. That's where I think it makes a big difference if we can get into the freezer sections of Indian stores, at least, with these everyday items like dal or chicken curry or goat curry. I mean, that's because I've lived in 2 years in other states. Now I realize, because when we are living in a big city, we don't feel that.
And in last 10 years, when you look at into grocery store freezer section, you see a significant change.
Absolutely.
Right, from the wraps to curries, on the desserts and the snacks, from the breads. You see, it has been diversified. Even anyway, if you go to a new city, you just carry a few frozen food, just microwave it and eat.
That's the beauty. See, so next time if I go out of town to work for a week, I'm going to take all these frozen packets and put them in, because I can always make rice in the microwave in 12 minutes. I have my formula. Then I'm done for the whole week if I'm going to be out of town, because that's much easier than driving 100 miles just to get an Indian dinner. Okay, any final thoughts on biryani pot and your success in the last 10 years and looking for a bright future? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I would like to pass a message to our customers and the viewers. See, many of you from the Houston area, especially not even Houston area, across US, wherever we have our locations, because of you and your support, we could not reach this 10th year milestone. We really thank you a lot, and we're looking forward to serve you as much as we can.
Thank you, Sreedhar Kanchankuntla. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking about Biryani Pot 10 years anniversary and its journey, its challenges and its successes. My special guest has been Sreedhar Kanchankuntla, and he is from Warangal, but of course he's Houstonian now.
Yes, of course.
Warangal is in the state of Telangana. Thank you so much for coming and joining me on Triple N Talk Show.
An excellent opportunity.
We are delighted to look forward to your new adventures and success in the next 10 years.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much, Nik.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you in the next video. I am Dr. Nik Nikam from Triple N Media. Thank you.